The Rector Debora Kayembe is the first black rector of Edinburgh University. Deborah Kayembe is a lawyer linguist. She focuses on matters involving legal, political, language issues, as well as human rights and international law. Ms. Kayembe speaks 7 languages and settled in the UK in 2005 and soon joined the Institute of Translation and Interpreting. She has been a qualified member of the Institute since 2010 and qualified for 5 languages: French, English, Swahili, Lingala, and Kukonga. Her linguist profession led her to create her own linguistic company in 2009, serving international organizations in the USA, UK, and mainland Europe by helping refugees and asylum seekers to settle within various resettlement programs, as well as supporting victims of war crimes. She is a qualified paralegal in civil court practice in Scotland and a board of director of the Scottish Refugee Council, which she served for 3 years. In August 2016, Deborah joined the Royal Society of Edinburgh and the Young Academy of Scotland, representing refugee minorities. Deborah is the founder of Full Options since October 2017, which has 63 members worldwide. The charity also runs between Scotland and Turkey. In the wake of killing of George Floyd and the birth of the Black Lives Matter movement, Deborah survived an attempt by a white supremacist who ambushed her car tires with nails. As a result, Deborah now begins an aggressive campaign against racism by launching the Freedom Walk campaign promoting racial justice, lobbying in favor of social reforms and community harmony. Rector Deborah Kayembe, over to you.
Once you have to talk after a theologist, it's very complicated because there's so many things that it takes. I'm not getting used to it. But institutional racism and racial violence is known as a discrimination or unequal treatment on the basis of membership of a particular group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized, arising from system, structure, or expectation that have become established within an institution or organization. The victim of racial violence are selected not in their capacity as an individual, but representation of community based on a phenotypical, artistic, or religious, national, or cultural origin. The International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination of 1966, in which the UK and many other countries joined in order to establish an equal society, come to the light of an alarming manifestation of racial discrimination, which was still an evidence of some area in the world by the governmental policies based on racial superiority, hatred, and such policies are apartheid, colonization, racial discrimination known as Jim Crow laws or segregations. After half a century, these have taken forms of discrimination resulting of new movements called Black Lives Matter, and the reckoning from the past which targets statues honoring former slavers and colonizers, and a movement asking to defund police force in order to build a better environment and society. Our UK society is no stranger to this reality. As the Black Lives Matter movement thrives around the world, it has become an instrument of equal opportunity, ensuring that every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talent. It's also to believe that one shall not be poor life a chance because of the way they are born, where they come from, or where they believe, or where they have a disability. A more equal society will mean everyone has shelter, education, healthcare, food, time to rest, play, as well work. It is certainly mean no discrimination on the ground of identity, sex, or skin color, or also means stopping our rail health and education services being used in a space to make profit for corporations. The Black Lives Matter movement is recognized as a decentralized political and social movement protesting against incidents of police brutality and all racially motivated violence against Black people. And it is my opinion, it is a key on building a fairer society and equal opportunity for all. Also, if in our society the police is having this brutality throughout Black people in a more aggressive way, the same police still being brutal to white people, whether they are privileged or not. What we are fighting here is a system establishing giving too much power to those who are supposed to uphold the law in order to bring fears and not to challenge the power. So while you have a big numbers of Black people being victims of police brutality, it's always the oppressed people who brings the biggest change in the society. But those changes not always benefit only the Black people. Once the change happens, it applies to everyone. History has taught us that if the oppressed will bring the fundamental change into the society, whatever the capacity of a membership of these minorities or marginalized, we will get to see the change happen. Discrimination is believed to be an unjust and prejudicial treatment of different categories of people, especially on the ground of race, age, sex, disability. For example, treating someone unfairly in your institution because of whom they are is just not fair at all. The radical change that seeks the BLM movement is to bring a profound change in the society. This change, as I said before, is not only benefit Black people, but the overall society. And the movement itself, it's an exercise. It's a trial. And the exercise that consists in carrying out activities in a specific purpose in which mainly protect the most vulnerable in our society. No matter who carries out the protest, it is very important to understand that even in the face of the world, it shows that these are an issue concerning Black people and the protests carried on by Black people or minorities. The change will happen, will certainly benefit our society for all of us. Human rights are the fruit of the labor of men and women on both sides on the political spectrum. Some who embrace causes not worth fighting, but nevertheless made valuable contributions that should not be unnoticed. Many groups and movements have managed to achieve profound social change over the course of the 21st century in the name of human rights. For example, women's rights movements succeed to gaining for many women the right to vote. Although white women managed to get the vote, today we still see Black women getting access to vote geographically, whether it's in the United States or in Africa. It's because in some point, a women movement get to the field of protesting for the discrimination they face, and that discrimination brought to the light become successful and made a change that everyone in the society benefit from it. While looking at the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, which stated, in recognition of the inherent dignity and equal and inalienable right of all members of the human family, it says all members of the human family. In the human family, we have the Black, we have the white, we have the Christian, we have all members of the human family is a foundation of freedom, justice, peace in the world. So, the idea of freedom is enormous, it's vast. But since we are at the Divinity School, let's look at the meaning of freedom in philosophy and religion. It's believed to be associated with having free will and being without undue and unjust constraint or enslavement, and is an idea closely tied with the concept of liberty. A person has the freedom to do things that will not, in theory or in practice, prevented by the other forces. So this is the equality that we're looking for. While you're taking actions and you're moving forward on making change in the society, no one has the right to stop you because of who you are or because of who you represent. So when the Black Lives Matter movement started, I would say there is a lot of similarity of many other movements existed before the day of George Floyd. But the Black Lives Matter movement came in a contemporary context and brings a bit different, a different way of seeing the world. It is true, this movement were brought by Black people in order to bring into the society the unfairness of those who are supposed to uphold the law and to show the world how badly they were treated. But more as those movements continue to protest and continue to push for change, there will be change, and when this change happens, they will not only benefit the Black people, they will benefit the whole society. All members of society will benefit from it. The reality today is that some people support the Black Lives Matter movement, and some see the Black Lives Matter movement as a counterpart of the white supremacy, where they are afraid even to support the Black Lives Matter because they pretend that it's trying to get over the supremacies of white people. But I don't think it's the case. I think every single individual in this world has a right to protest, and I think every individual in this world has a right to protest against injustice. And what the Black people are facing in this generation, even the generation before, they faces injustice. And the only way to get over this injustice is to protest. And the exercise of protesting has to get to the end of a mean. It's very important to get to the bottom of this. What is also certain, it's not going to be easy for the Black Lives Matter movement to get to the bottom of what they're trying to get to, but progress has been made. Statues have been fallen. Do we ever believe one day we see statues falling? I'm going to tell you my story on the day that the King of Belgium statues left the streets of Belgium and went to the museum. I was at my house the day after my car was ambushed by white supremacists, and the police told me not to leave my house until they felt that I was safe to go back outside again. And that afternoon, I received a phone call from a journalist from Brussels, and she informed me, "Deborah, have you seen what happened in Brussels?" I said, "No, what happened in Brussels?" "The King of Belgium, Leopold II statue, moved from the center of Brussels to the museum." Repeat again. What King of Belgium? Leopold II. Where did he go? In the museum. There is a God. There is a God. And the journalist heard me saying, there is a God, there is a God. Because it's unbelievable, the job and the role that Leopold II has done to give the glory to white supremacy and to give the glory to colonization. And for the years, for half a century, the Belgium occupied the Congo for 50 years. I always say, every time there is a VIP coming here at this university, sometimes I think, is there any Belgium coming? But don't bring any tea and coffee. They got enough from the Congo in 50 years. Don't bring them any tea and coffee. The country, the Democratic Republic of Congo, was stolen from every single part. The people were alienated. The land was ripped up for 50 years. And it was very difficult for me to realize that day. When I had this phone call from the journalist, he was asking me about how I felt in that moment, to realize that the statue has moved from that place to the museum, in a corner of a museum. Who made that happen? It's the Black Lives Matter movement. He made the society of Belgium to come to conscience and to realize Are we still have to have this statue in this place to glorify a man who did so wrong to humanity and survive it? That's the exercise. So the movement itself, like every movement, is led by human beings. There are some who can make mistakes. There are some who can, but the reality of the Black Lives Matter movement, it's an exercise that helps our society to strive in a positive way. That is how I say it. Many believe that justice refers to fairness, and for instance, social justice is the notion that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social opportunity irrespective of race, gender, or religion. The pursuit by many of social movements in the reach of potentiality that allow that to make change for a better world, no matter who is beneficiary of this outcome or for the struggle. The Black Lives Matter movement, with its aim and pursuit, will carry activity in order to generate profound change in our society. As long as the movement will continue to carry out this ultimate aim and ending policy of brutality, seeking equal opportunity for all, this will make our society better, not only for Black people, for other minorities, but the overall society. It's the ultimate exercise with a means to an end, the desire to obtain and achieve justice for all. Peace be upon you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for two very inspiring lectures from Dr. Reddy, or Professor Reddy, who's challenged us to rethink the normativity of whiteness in his lecture, whereby our rector has alluded to the importance of Black Lives Matter as a movement, and it's how as a movement it actually can benefit all of us, in all our groups and minority groups as human beings. So now we turn to the panel discussion, which consists of Dr. Nash, who is here visiting us at Edinburgh in the Institute of Art.